You mentioned resveratrol earlier. I'm interested in what your take is on this compound because I feel like there's been a lot of different opinions out there in the media, and in some ways, I think resveratrol has almost left a bad taste in people's mouths about phytochemicals. I've heard people on one side of the fence claiming it's a longevity compound that will certainly add years to your life, and then there's other scientists saying that's nonsense and the data is flawed, and it seems like all of these folks are very well established scientists, and it's a bit of a mess. I'm wondering if you have a view on this as an expert in phytochemicals, but maybe sitting a little bit outside of the resveratrol research. Why do you think there are these very different opinions about whether this compound kind of lives up to the claims that exist?
So first of all, I'm not an expert on resveratrol, but you mentioned that. Did you ever have David Sinclair on your podcast?
So yeah. I've had David Sinclair on, and he talks a lot about resveratrol. Yeah. And then I've also connected, and it's been more offline at this stage, with Dr. Charles Brenner, who has a very different opinion. And not to say that they're the only two scientists out there with opinions on resveratrol, but they're certainly both quite vocal. And from the outside, it does seem like a bit of a mess.
Yeah. I'm sure that's I'm sure that's an accurate statement, but I know a lot of the early hype was based on longevity because of its involvement in the sirtuin pathway. And there may be something to that. I'm really not. I'm so distant enough from that literature not to want to venture an opinion. But I think more recently, the sort of in industry and in food technology and formulation technology, there's been a huge amount of interest in formulations. So nanoencapsulation and various liposome, phytosome encapsulations of resveratrol and curcumin also. And the reason with both of those compounds is because neither of them are that bioavailable, and you have to give a lot, and they're not very water soluble at all. So with curcumin, I think, it's not a problem if you like Indian food, you just pour it on and some of it'll get in. But I know the supplement companies have gone to great extents fighting with each other to make better formulations that are more soluble and are taken up better. I think the same goes for resveratrol. Early in the resveratrol days, I am sure you and Sinclair must have talked about this. People were saying you would need to drink 400 glasses of red wine, which is a good source of resveratrol, to get a daily dose to be effective. And obviously that's a little excessive. Resveratrol, much more than curcumin, in my mind, sort of gets pushed closer to the pharmaceutical realm because practical food-based doses seem a little hard to come by. As far as its effects, we know that there is a lot of mechanistic work showing its efficacy in regulating certain pathways. As I say, I'm just not savvy enough on the latest to say, is it worth trying? I don't take it, but
sure. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I just wanted to hear your view, but thank you for that.
Well, I agree. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But it may turn out to be the brass ring for longevity or health span ultimately, but it's not there now.